Dydd Gwyl Dewi Hapus. Happy St David's Day. So today is actually St David's Day here in Wales. Well, it's everywhere in the world, but mainly celebrated in Wales, which is the day where we celebrate our patron saint, St David. But anyway, today's video is all about the jobs for March and what you can be doing in the garden in March, of which there is quite a lot compared to the last few months. And I'd also like to say as well, this video is actually my last ever jobs for the month, because I started them in April last year, this series, so I've done one for every month now and I can't just keep doing the same videos over and over again. So what I'll be doing is, if you follow me on Instagram, Twitter or Facebook, then they're all linked down in the description, you can find me there. And if you find me on those channels, then you'll be able to see every month what jobs to do, because I'll reshare the videos that I've already done, if that makes any sense. So I'm not going to be making any new jobs for the month videos, but I'll be promoting them again on my channels if you want to find them there. But before this video gets started, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, as well as a little bell icon to make sure you're notified next time I upload a new video. And because this series is coming to an end, I am going to need some new video ideas and some new series ideas, and I was going to ask you to comment down below anything that you struggle with in the garden or any series that you'd like to see on my channel. Obviously I've got the plants explained, but I also want another one as well to go along. So let me know down below what you'd like to see on this channel. And actually, similarly to last month, you can still mulch your beds with compost, which I did a week or two ago after I got some from a garden centre. So there's plenty of compost on this bed now, but that's what you can be doing as well. And the other thing as well is, if you've already done it a few months ago, maybe in autumn or maybe in winter, well, we're still in winter but coming to spring, then you can break up any clumps, maybe not by hand, like that, or with a fork or a rake or a hoe or something like that, just to break it up so that the soil's slightly softer, ready for planting in maybe a month or two. And the frost will help you to do that if you have any hard frosts. We've been having surface frosts here, like really quite light frosts, because it's been so clear and sunny that it's been getting quite cold at night, so that means that the soil's been freezing, and some of it's still frozen now. But that helps to break things up, because when the water goes in the pores of the soil, it'll freeze and expand and break it apart. So that's why a lot of this is quite fine and a good fine tilth, which is what it's called in gardening terms. So yeah, so make sure you get your beds mulched with compost, break up any lumps if you can, before planting especially. And yeah, that's about it for the beds. And now on to what we can start to plant indoors to go out into these beds in a couple of months. So in a greenhouse just like this one, or in a windowsill, or in maybe a cloche or whatever like that, something undercover that isn't going to get all the frost and it's going to keep a bit above the outdoor temperature in the daytime especially, you can actually start to sow things. And you can sow the same things as you could sow in February and more. So you can start to sow things like your tomatoes, your aubergines. Peppers are also a good thing you can plant at the moment. And there's some peas as well undercover. And another great one for starting indoors at the moment is beetroot, which is something that I'm yet to start, and same with tomatoes and peppers. But I'm not actually starting peppers from seed this year. I'm actually keeping the plants from last year, and I've overwintered them, so I'm going to start waking them up in the next few weeks. But that's what you can be planting in the greenhouse. And just a reminder of what you could plant last month, as I said, is some things like lettuce, spinach, cabbage, Calabrese broccoli, just brassicas and things like that, and leafy stuff. Nothing that's really going to not like any frost, something that will tolerate a tiny bit of frost. And that's one thing to remember this month. Even though it's all glorious weather at the moment, you've got to remember that here in the UK especially, we tend to have a second and even third winter sometimes, where we have a storm maybe in mid-March or April, or even May sometimes we have a freak frost. So make sure you just bear that in mind. Don't go getting excited thinking it's going to be quite a mild year and go planting all of your non-hardy things, because most likely another frost will come, or another hard frost, another cold period will come and just surprise you. So make sure you bear that in mind when you're planting. And there's actually some things that you can plant outdoors right now, and some of those things are parsnips, onions and radish. And actually parsnips, there's going to be a video coming soon, because there's a new way, or a way that I've found out this year, that you can germinate parsnips and you've almost got a 100% succession rate, which is really exciting because I've never been able to grow parsnips before. So make sure you watch out for that video over the next few weeks. And another thing that you can plant outside this month is your early potatoes, so your first earlies and second earlies by the end of March maybe, or start of April. And actually I'm growing mine again in these buckets this year. These are just some 30-litre recycled plastic buckets, and I'm going to be growing them in pretty compost mixed with molehill dirt again to try and save a bit of money on some compost. But yeah, so they'll be grown in there. And they tend to do quite well. I did quite well with them last year, and it saves a lot of bed space in the soil. And it's also quite good as well with those, because if you get the ones with the good handles on, just like mine, you can actually move them around the garden to get the sun, in the summer especially, so that they get enough sun, so they're not basically fixed, so that if they're in a shaded spot, you can just move them so they get sun all through the day, which is quite a nice feature. And I'll link some buckets like mine down in the description below, so make sure you check them out. And don't forget as well, you can continue to plant your onion sets, shallots and garlic outside all through this time. And they're quite good to plant all year round actually, as onion sets and things like that, and garlic. And I've planted onions in autumn last year, which aren't doing too well, but they're starting to recover from Alfie, my dog, trampling on them. And then there's also my garlic, which are doing very well actually. And I've also bought some more onion sets when I bought my seeds that I can plant in spring, so that we've got a bit of a succession of onions so that they're ready a bit after the ones that were grown in autumn. And as it's warming up through March, a bit like it is today, then weeds will start to grow in your soil, and especially if it's bare where there's no plants or no mulches, there will definitely be weeds. So make sure you keep picking them out. I haven't got any here because I weeded before I put the compost on last weekend. But in my greenhouse, and that's the thing, especially in greenhouses and cloches, you'll have more weeds and stuff because it's warmer. So in here I've got a lot of weeds I need to sort out, and in that cloche over there. So make sure you keep on top of weeds this month, so that when it comes to planting next month, or maybe even at the end of this month if your seeds are growing quick enough, make sure that the soil is ready for you to just plonk your plants in and they'll be fine. So in my cloche, the seeds that I planted haven't actually grown, so I'm just going to lift my cloche up soon and probably just going to completely weed it, level this bed, and then be ready to plant things in. But I'm actually going to start my peas in that cloche this year as well, so that needs to be quite weed free for that. And the peas are going to be there, and I'm going to have a wigwam where your camera is, or my camera is there, so that so these greenhouses don't get too hot in the sun right in the peak of summer, because they'll shade them in the morning and then they'll get mainly the afternoon sun. So hopefully, or especially this greenhouse, will get more shade. So hopefully they won't get too warm and I won't have to open the doors on that one too much, and this won't have to self-open too much. So you may actually be able to pick some salad under cover if you planted it maybe a month or two ago, if you had a warm greenhouse back then. So I've got some onions in here that I grew from sets, and if you want to grow onions, then you can also get another harvest from these, which is spring onions, and you can cut maybe one leaf from each plant, especially as they start to put on vigorous growth. Then you can cut about one leaf every month maybe, and what this will do is it'll actually encourage the plant to keep growing, but it'll also give you a harvest of spring onions to put in your salads, or maybe with pasta or something like that, just as you go through the year, because it can get a bit annoying doing all this planting at this time and not getting any harvest out of it. So what you can do is just pick maybe one leaf every week or something from each plant, so you can get plenty from a whole planting of onions, and then you can get salad or homegrown salad like ingredients to put in your food, so that you've still got that taste of fresh food from your garden to keep you motivated through the season. So as I mentioned earlier in the video, it's actually St. David's Day today, and I thought if you want to, wherever you are in the world, celebrate St. David's Day, then you can go down below, and in the description I'll link some good recipes for some Welsh cakes and some cawl, which is some traditional Welsh foods. Cawl is a bit like a soup, and Welsh cakes are a really delicious cake, or they're like a flat cake basically, and they're really, really tasty, so I recommend you try baking them. So I'll have them linked down in the description. And I'll also link maybe to some stuff that'll mention about what St. David's Day is, so that you can learn about it if you're not from Wales, because I know in Wales, where I went to primary school, it's quite a commonly taught thing, so we all know about what St. David's Day is. But if you want to read up on that, then it'll be down in the description. So that's all I have for today's video, so make sure you go down below, hit the subscribe button, as well as the little bell icon. And whilst you're down there, why not like and leave a comment to let me know what more content you want to see now that this series is finished. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.